Many people read the labels on things these days to check out what's in the products they're buying, and most people think that just because the box says, quote, "it's healthy," they're getting something safe. You might be surprised to find out that in some industries, there aren't many regulations, and that means if companies can save a buck or two hiding some cheap filler in your products, they will. With that said, here are 5 products with hidden ingredients in them. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Beauty products and makeup. Hey women, listen up. This one is especially for you. If you thought the FDA does a subpar job in regulating what goes into our food supply, well, you'll be equally appalled, if not more, on its regulation of cosmetic and personal care products. The same way you look at food labels, you should do that for your beauty products too. There are thousands of chemicals in your products, many of which are being absorbed into your body. These companies have unrestricted authority to use any ingredient or raw material without government review or approval. This industry is highly unregulated. A minuscule approval process exists, but only for color additives and ingredients classified as over-the-counter drugs. Many of these synthetic chemicals are skin irritants, skin penetrators, endocrine disruptors, and are carcinogenic. It would take an hour-long video to cover them all, so we'll just hit the important ones that you should be aware of right now, and then go do your own research if it matters to you. Parabens are widely used preservatives that prevent the growth of bacteria, mold, and yeast in cosmetic products. Sounds good, right? Not so fast. They do more than that. Parabens possess estrogen-mimicking properties that are associated with increased risk of breast cancer. Synthetic colors are hiding in most beauty products too. If you take a look at your product label and notice FD&C or D&C, they represent artificial colors. F represents food, and D&C represents drugs and cosmetics. These letters precede a color and a number, like D&C Red 27 or FD&C Blue 1. These synthetic colors are derived from petroleum or coal tar sources. Fragrances aren't good either, and the particular category is pretty scary, because what does fragrance mean anyway? The term was created to protect a company's, quote, secret formula, but as the consumer, you could be putting on a concoction that contains a ton of chemicals that are hazardous to your health. Phthalates are a group of chemicals used in hundreds of products to increase the flexibility and softness of plastics. The main phthalates in cosmetics and personal care products are dibutyl phthalate in nail polish, diethyl phthalate in perfumes and lotions, and dimethyl phthalate in hairspray. They're known to be endocrine disruptors and have been linked to increased risk of breast cancer, early breast development in girls, and reproductive birth defects in males and females. Formaldehyde and formaldehyde-releasing preservatives are used in many cosmetic products to help prevent bacteria growth. This chemical was deemed as a human carcinogen and has been linked to occasionally related cancers. And that's not all. The giant shopping list of dangerous chemicals in other beauty products include toluene, propylene glycol, sunscreen chemicals, and much more. Number 4. Cleaning products. Okay, so it's probably a given that cleaning products have a bunch of bad things in them so that they work for their intended purposes, but as with beauty products, some things are hiding inside of cleaning products that are dangerously toxic, as in you probably shouldn't be using them unless you're in a full hazmat suit. While digging around in the dark corners of the internet for goods, we were surprised to find the average household contains about 62 toxic chemicals. From the phthalates in synthetic fragrances to the noxic fumes in oven cleaners, ingredients in common household products have been linked to asthma, cancer, reproductive disorders, hormone disruption, and neurotoxicity. Of course, manufacturers argue that in small amounts, these toxic ingredients aren't likely to be a problem, but when we're exposed to them routinely, that is when it becomes a problem. Of course, it's argued, but there are a few products that can cause immediate reactions from exposure to headaches from fumes, skin burns from accidental contact, and the fact that the skin absorbs some of these chemicals over time. So what are some of these? Perchloroethylene, or PERC, is found in many dry cleaning solutions, some spot removers, and carpet and upholstery cleaners. We'll just call this one PERC so you won't forget it. PERC is a neurotoxin. Need we say more? Okay. The EPA classifies perk as a possible carcinogen, and people who live in residential buildings where dry cleaners are located have reported dizziness, loss of coordination, and other symptoms. Because of this, the EPA has ordered a phase out of perk machines in residential buildings by 2020. California is going even further and plans to eliminate all use of perk by 2023 because of its suspected health risks. And how about that dishwashing detergent you've been using? Well, most of those contain a chemical called triclosan. It's even in some hand soaps that are labeled antibacterial. Triclosan is an aggressive antibacterial agent that can promote the growth of drug-resistant bacteria, and that's how we're making them stronger. But that's not all. Studies have now found dangerous concentrations of triclosan in rivers and streams where it's toxic to algae. 2-butoxyethanol is the key ingredient in many window cleaners and gives them their characteristic sweet smell. It belongs in the category of glycol ethers, a set of powerful solvents that don't mess around. Law doesn't require 2-butoxyethanol to be listed on a product's label. According to the EPA's website, in addition to causing sore throats when inhaled, at high levels, glycol ethers can also contribute to narcosis, pulmonary edema, and severe liver and kidney damage. There are a ton of others like ammonia, chlorine, and sodium hydroxide. Always wear gloves and a respirator when using heavy cleaning products. Number 3. So-called healthy food. You probably knew we were going to get into this sooner or later. There are a lot of things hidden in food, and since the exposure of pink slime being used in McDonald's burgers, once people were onto that, those guys changed their tune and now serve 100% pure USDA-inspected beef with no fillers and no extenders. Yeah, I'll take a Big Mac, but hold the sawdust and earthworms, would you? All jokes aside, there are some healthy foods out there with stuff hidden inside of them, and we're gonna expose some of them. In the last 100 years, the food industry has advanced by leaps and bounds. Today, more than 3/4 of supermarket shelves are stocked with packaged and processed foods. These boxed, canned, and frozen concoctions in most cases only require boiling or microwaving to become edible. But there are some things that are super bad for you that's still allowed in your food. Butylated hydroxytoluene, we'll just call it BHT for short, is a common additive used to prevent oxidation. It's also used in jet fuels, rubber petroleum products, transformer oil, and embalming fluid, but you can find it in some breakfast cereals as a preservative. High fructose corn syrup is almost in everything you touch. And even though it's not really hidden, it is worth mentioning that this product is a heart killer and is likely responsible for a lot of the obesity in the United States. The reactive carbonyl molecules cause tissue damage that may also lead to diabetes and heart disease. Oh, and that yellow number 5? Almost all colorants approved for use in food are derived from coal tar and may contain up to 10 ppm of lead and arsenic. Also, and not surprisingly, most coal tar colors could potentially cause cancer. Number 2. E-cig liquid. I can hear many of you saying, "Oh no, don't touch my e-cig, please," but you should probably know what's going on if you're a vapor. I am too. It's good to study up. While many people think that vaping is a safer alternative to cigarettes, it might actually turn out that it could be worse. We'll see. Yes, we know that a lot of companies bang out their marketing material saying that e-cigarettes only produce harmless water vapor, but that's just not true. Vaping is not risk-free, especially for kids and teens. Some people think electronic cigarettes, which don't contain tobacco, are a safer alternative to true cigarettes. But smoking e-cigarettes, or vaping, exposes people to toxic gases that can harm the lungs and cause other health problems. Now, a new study shows that the hotter an e-cig gets and the more it's used, the more toxic compounds it gives off. My advice, keep the wattage as low as you can and change your coil often. That'll get rid of a lot of this. A team doing some studies on e-cigs and juices has just turned up a host of toxic chemicals in the vapors generated by electronic cigarettes. Some have never before been seen in vaping emissions. The key to vaping is the e-liquid that's drawn through an e-cigarette. Manufacturers dissolve flavorings and usually nicotine into this solvent. In most cases, this solvent is known as food grade, meaning it should be safe enough to eat. But it should be noted that that rating is meaningless if the solvent will be inhaled into the lungs, not ingested into the stomach where it can break down. As a vapor inhales, some of the flavored solvent will flow through the e-cigarette. As it passes over one or more hot metal coils, that liquid vaporizes into a gas. These flavored vapors can be a rich source of toxic chemicals. One of these toxic chemicals is nicotine. It's usually added to the starting liquid to stimulate a user's nervous system the same way that tobacco cigarettes will. Indeed, e-cigs are considered tobacco products by government agencies because their nicotine comes from tobacco plants. But the new study finds that the solvents make even more chemicals that are bad to breathe in. As the solvents encounter an e-cig's intensely hot coil, they can break down to form new toxic compounds. Those chemicals include formaldehyde and acetaldehyde, which is a colorless liquid that's in the cascade of breakdown products that develops when the body metabolizes alcohol. The colorless liquid also is used by manufacturers to make a range of products, including vinegar, perfume, and flavorings. According to the US National Toxicology Program, this chemical is also reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen. The bottom line is this: while e-cig liquids are probably harmless in the bottle, the minute heat gets to it from an e-cig coil, that's where the problems begin. The jury's still out on whether or not e-cigs are better than regular cigarettes, but from the looks of it, vaping may stiffen the heart and blood vessels, and that's something that isn't worth the risk. Number 1. Tap water. You probably already know that tap water in many places is dangerous, and no one really knows what's in it depending on where you're from. But if we take a look at the city of Chicago, for example, the amount of lead in the water is incredibly high. But our drinking water should be clean and healthy, right? It seems like there might be a lot of things hiding in tap water that'll make you not want to drink it again. And this is very recent news, too. The toxic lead was found in tap water drawn from nearly 70% of 2,797 homes across Chicago within the past 2 years, according to an analysis of results made from the tested water. The Daily newspaper published a report on that analysis Thursday. Tap water in 3 of every 10 homes included in the analysis had lead concentrations above 5 parts per billion. Lead can leach from certain kinds of pipes as water travels from utilities to home faucets. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has set its limit for lead in tap water at 15 parts per billion. But for bottled water, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, that limit is 5 parts per billion. Lead exposure can affect nearly every system in the body, and no safe blood lead level in children has ever been identified, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. That's why the concentrations found in Chicago are raising a few eyebrows. Lead is a naturally occurring metal found deep within the ground and has been used in a variety of products, including paint, pipes, gasoline, batteries, and, well, even cosmetics. Yet to the human body, lead exposure can be toxic. The only way to be sure if the water you are drinking from your tap isn't full of lead is to take a vial and have someone test it.
Alright, Top 5ers, if you haven't already, make sure to visit our other channel, The Brilliant, for even more interesting list videos that'll blow your mind. Oh, but I'm warning you, the videos over on The Brilliant are extremely addicting to watch as well. There'll be a link in the description to the channel, so make sure to come and visit us. Or you can go to our latest video popping up on screen right now. Oh, and have you visited thefinestpost.com to enjoy the most amazing articles you will ever get to read?